All right, good afternoon. My name is Dan Johnston. I'm an admissions counselor here at Florida Atlantic University. And today we're just going to talk a little bit about our financial aid process. So if you have questions, we'll be able to answer them. If not, just please follow along. And yeah, go ahead.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael, and I am a coordinator of financial aid here at Florida Atlantic University. And I'm here to bring you some information about financial aid. So to first start off, the very first aspect of financial aid that is always important is filing a current FAFSA for the school year. This will require you to log on and, with the help of your parents most likely, to input tax information. A new service that the government has added is that you can manually link your taxes from the IRS. So this was done because there was a lot of errors that people and families were making. So to make it streamlined, they let you link it directly from the IRS. So the financial aid office will receive your application. Once you have begun the process of being admitted, we get a notification from the admissions office, and then we will select you to be processed for financial aid. There is sometimes a delay because you might be selected to provide additional information. If this is the case, you will receive an email from our office stating what the requirements may be, and if you have questions about those requirements, you can always contact our office.
So I have, and I see we have some participants here. If you have any questions, go ahead and feel free to write them out, and we will get to them as best that we can. So I have a question. So students, when should they begin filling out their FAFSA?
Okay, a FAFSA for the year you plan to attend is always going to be available after January 1st. Now, we suggest waiting until your family has actually filed their taxes. So most likely you're looking at February 1st time frame to complete the FAFSA. Now, that FAFSA you will complete for the following year will begin for the fall term. Sometimes students are accepted into the summer term. If you're accepted into the summer term as an incoming freshman student and you would like financial aid, you would actually have to do the previous year's FAFSA, considering that the summer is part of the previous school year.
Okay, so to clarify, so if we have, what if you are, so okay, so if you're a freshman that were admitted to the summer, is that available the same way as the other FAFSA? Does it say it's designated that academic year?
Yes, it's always designated by the year. So when you log into the FAFSA website, which is fafsa.gov, you will be automatically directed to the future year. As an incoming freshman for fall 14, that would be the 2014-2015. There will be an option on the website for you to select to complete a 2013-2014 FAFSA, which would be for the summer term.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So you can use PowerPoint if you'd like, or go ahead.
All right. So I do have a PowerPoint available for you, and here's some important information about financial aid. We do have a priority deadline of March 1st. This does not mean that if you have not completed it by March 1st that you will not receive financial aid. There was a stigma a couple of years ago that you won't get processed in time, but that has changed. So what a priority deadline means is that we will consider you for certain awards. A lot of our students qualify for the same kind of aid, so we have a bit of a lottery system to determine which students will be awarded certain funds based on availability and the day that you actually applied, pending that you have no other requirements on your account. Types of financial aid that will be offered to you are scholarships, loans, and grants. A scholarship is designated from a particular department or a beneficiary who has given you the scholarship. Sometimes you may have been awarded a scholarship from your high school or from maybe another organization. If that's the case, that organization may contact us to verify that you are enrolling at FAU, and we will complete that information and send it back to them. Another scholarship that is very popular is the Bright Future Scholarship. Now, you would contact the state to find out that if you are eligible. There are some changes that came to the program. For example, if you have been awarded the Gold Seal, it is not available for universities in the public system anymore. It is used at the community college, which now are state colleges. So that was just for the gold seal. The other awards we have are the grants. There are some state and federal grants. The most commonly known federal grant is the Pell Grant. And the difference between a scholarship and a grant is that a scholarship, we want to verify that you are scheduled to take a class, and with a grant, we verify that you're actually taking the classes. The other type of financial aid is loans. Now, loans you do have to pay back. That is a question we get a lot of times. Students get confused. I got a loan, I got a grant, what's the difference? So a loan is backed by the federal government, and we allow you to take as much as you need to supplement the cost of attending. So if you've been offered a loan, you are not required to take the full amount or any of it if you don't need it. But there is a limit for every student that they can have and can borrow.
Now, a grant would be money that you don't have to pay back, that FAU would provide that's not paid back, and so a part of your financial aid package, it'll say you're going to get, let's use round numbers, you're going to get $1,000 in a grant, an FAU grant, and then $2,000 in loans. Will it designate exactly on your package what it is?
Yes, they'll be broken down separately when you look at your financial aid award through the MyFAU portal. But basically, the difference is when you guarantee a loan amount, it is not contingent on how many classes you take. The difference between a grant, for example, if you're only taking 6 credits, which we consider half-time, but your grant said it's $2,000, well, you're only going to receive half of the grant for your enrollment. But if your loan was $2,000 and your 6 credits, you will still have the original amount of the loan. I see there's a question posted.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that. So
with regards to scholarships, some require proof of financial need. I am supposed to supply additional information, or is the FAFSA enough? That would be something that our office fills out. Usually it is a questionnaire or a worksheet that the scholarship needs filled out, and then our office will specifically fill it out. So you can send it to attention, the Student Financial Aid Office at FAU, and then we have a coordinator who specifically deals with the scholarships, and she'll send it back for you.
Okay, so I got another question here. Can I receive financial aid at FAU and some financial aid for Broward for some classes at the same time? So are you referring that you're going to be either a transient student at FAU, and how would that process work? If you're a transient, you're going to be, let's say you're degree seeking at FAU, but you're transient at Broward or Palm Beach State. How does the aid work there?
All right, so for financial aid, you're always going to receive it from the hosting institution where you're currently receiving a degree. So you may want to take 1 or 2 classes because maybe they're not offered at another school. You may have financial aid for those other classes. We call these transient students concurrent. Now, concurrent is a financial aid term, so other departments won't know what concurrent means. For example, the registrar needs you to fill out a transient form for the class to count on your degree transcript. So we have a specific form called concurrent enrollment, and then the state has you fill out a specific form online to process, which is flvc.org. Now, along with your submission to flvc.org, we process the hours that you're enrolled at another institution, so you may have financial aid from FAU. Now, some things change along the way. For example, if you're taking Bright Futures, there's a different payment for the state college than the university. Also, one of the requirements of submitting concurrent paperwork is that you paid for that class out of pocket. So you are turning in a receipt that that class is paid for, and then you're getting reimbursed your state or federal aid from FAU.
That's a good question. Thank you. So now, okay, so we'll kind of go back to the application process. So let's say I'm a new student that was just recently admitted, whether I'm a freshman or a transfer. I submit my FAFSA early on, has all of my tax documents. Everything has been approved. When and where will I be notified of my award?
All right. So at this time, we've already awarded the majority of our first-time students. If you are a transfer student, we are planning to award the first week of May. So about 1 or 2 weeks. Now, one of the requirements on top of completing the FAFSA is that you're actually registered for courses. That is specific to returning students and transfer students. We need to know that you're actually planning to enroll so that we can process you a financial aid package. Things of the priority deadline take into account when we're looking at packaging. So how you get notified of your financial aid is you will get an email sent to your FAU student account. It's very important to always check your student email and using the MyFAU portal. Once you get the email, you can then go ahead and log into MyFAU and follow the steps to check out financial aid. We always refer to our website just in case you have any questions. We do have a walkthrough guide along to show you the steps of how you actually step through that. If you download the PowerPoint or are able to look at it, we do have a screen that shows you exactly where you would click on to access your financial aid.
So, okay, so is there a difference in time of disbursement for freshmen and transfer students?
There is no difference in time of disbursement between whether you're a freshman or a transfer. All students will receive their financial aid after you have passed the drop ad. The drop ad is the finalization of the first week of classes where we determine your enrollment. And basically, you may have some aid that is posted at a certain amount, for example, a grant, and may need to be recalculated, or your Bright Futures may be needing to be recalculated based on your enrollment. So we lock in your enrollment after that first week of classes, your financial aid is adjusted, and then we begin dispersing. So disbursement is always on the second or third week of classes, and then if you're entitled to a refund, you'll be getting that refund that third week. How does a refund work? Basically, if you have enough aid to cover all of your expenses and there's anything left over, that's the money you would be getting back as a refund.
Okay, so we have some questions here, and there's some people that have just joined the group. I lost my mouse here. That have just joined in the chat. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them down and we'll get to them. So we have a few that just came in here and we'll try to get to them step by step. So how does disbursement of money work throughout the year for Pell Grant recipients?
Okay, so there's a little bit of a recap. Basically, let's say you receive the entire Pell Grant award and you're registered for 12 credits, which is full time. Now, we verify that you're enrolled at the drop ad. Now your Pell Grant will disperse against your current balance. So let's say you're a commuter student and the Pell Grant is covering all of your classes and there's a balance of $100 left over. After that has applied to your balance and the balance is zero, you'll get that $100 refunded to you. If you're taking 15 credits and the Pell Grant is not quite enough to cover it because it's a little more expensive to take an additional class, you would be designated to pay the difference before the Pell Grant disperses. So your balance would be the remaining amount, and then the Pell Grant would disperse and take care of bring your balance down to zero.
Okay. Let's see here. I am a newly accepted student, therefore have not yet attended any classes at FAU. Some scholarships require a letter of recommendation from an FAU faculty member or advisor. What would you recommend a student in my current situation do with a letter regards to with regards to obtaining a letter? So in this situation, I guess he's referring to scholarships that you can see through the financial aid website that may require that. So what would you suggest there?
Well, definitely, I wouldn't stop applying to something like that. You want to get a letter from someone in your high school, a guidance counselor, or someone, It doesn't, yes, we list it's an FAU advisor, but you have to remember sometimes those forms are generic and they might be applicable to 200 different types of scholarships. So we didn't just break it down specifically and say, oh, by the way, incoming freshmen only get a letter from someone from your high school or from your previous institution. So go ahead and submit it just to someone of noteworthy. But just because it says it was FAU, obviously you're an incoming freshman, you haven't attended classes. So it'd be okay to get another letter.
Okay, cool. So we have another question here. I have offers from other schools, and I'm waiting to see what FAU is going to offer me before I sign up for classes. Will that affect my offer since I am not scheduled for any classes? I am a transfer student. So, okay, so you are in this situation. Then this kind of brings us back to the question of when will they be notified of their decision and or of their when will they be notified of their award, and is there a difference between, in this case, a freshman or a transfer, of when they're notified of their award?
Right. This is a little bit of a catch-22. Since you're a transfer student, we wouldn't award you until you're actually enrolled. So it's one of those things that we would hope you plan to finalize your decision. Sometimes larger schools have more funds to award, so you might have been guaranteed an award, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get it. For example, one of the awards is work study. A student could say, I went to blank blank university and they offered me work study. But by the time you actually start classes, they're going to say there's no work study program left. But they put it on your award package. So sometimes the award letter isn't necessarily guaranteed. That's why we like to wait until a student is actually enrolled for classes, and then we can give them financial aid.
Okay. Let's see. What is the very last day to apply on time for financial aid for fall 2014?
All right, so you'd want to have an official FAFSA completed no later than July 1st. All right, if you want a timely award. The reason I say July 1st is if you get selected for the verification process, which requires you to provide tax information about who's in the household, and what age everyone is, for example, that takes 3 to 4 weeks for processing. So that award would be posted by August 1st. So the minimum time frame for you to get everything done should be, the FAFSA done at least, would be July 1st. Then you, if you have any other additional requirements, you want to get all those completed by August 1st. So August 1st should be your deadline to try to have everything completed for you to receive your award. Once you've been awarded, if you accept financial aid, it will count as a deferment towards your payment. So if you have enough aid to cover your balance, you won't have to pay anything additional. If you do not have enough aid to cover your balance, you will have accepted a deferment and have some time to come up with the additional funds before your balance is due.
Okay, so this there's a couple points I wanted to hit there, but one is if a student, let's say a student, they got their award and they're waiting for their disbursement, will they, if they have a balance, let's say they're going to be awarded $2,000 and their tuition is $3,000, when will they have to pay that balance of $1,000? Do they have to do it ahead of time, or can they wait until after their disbursement, or after their money has been dispersed?
You would want to pay it before the end of the first week, and the controller's office issues a last day to pay. But if you might have the funds later on, the controller's office allows you to set up a payment plan for the fall term. So let's say it's not a huge balance. Let's say it's $1,000 and you and your family feel comfortable of making payments. You can set up, for example, a 4-time payment plan so that that first day you would pay the $250, and then the following month you would pay the next installments. So there are different options for you. So just to recap, if you do owe a balance other than your financial aid covers, you can, 1, apply for additional loans, either through the federal government or through a private bank or lender. 2 is to set up a payment plan with the controller's office so you can pay off the rest of the amount over the next couple of months. Or 3, come up with the rest of the amount by the first week of classes so you won't have any late fees. If you do not meet the dates and you receive a late fee, it will be $100 on your account additional.
Okay, so you, and in this situation, who could we speak with about, so I know that I'm going to have, let's say I don't know if how much the balance is going to be. I've registered for class and I know that I'm going to be getting this much aid. to be proactive so that I know that I have to pay that $1,000, is there something available either online, or would it be through the controller's office and they can tell me that I'm going to owe $1,000? That way I know I need to pay that.
Yeah, we have a couple of tools available for you. One of them is the disbursement estimator tool. It's available in the PowerPoint. You can see the directions of how to access that. So once you have financial aid and you register for classes, you can use the tool to estimate how much financial aid you're getting. Now, it's also very good to get comfortable with MyFAU and view your account cost by term. So if you see that you have a balance and you're not quite sure, you can always contact the controller's office. You can stop by and see them in person, or you can email them. Email is the primary form of communication at FAU, so it is very important to always check your student email. I will keep saying this, and you will hear from every different department, but it is important to use your email. So you can always contact the controller's office, who first of all does billing, does disbursements, and they control the Florida prepaid. That's another aspect of students contact the financial aid office about Florida prepaid. It is the controller. So the controller's email address is webcontroller, WEBCONTROLLER @FAU.edu.
Okay, so this is I guess an important point that we definitely want to make sure that we clarify. So there's, in this situation, there's two departments that handle that handle the funds. The controller's office will handle Florida prepaid. They will handle the disbursement of your funds if there's a balance, and about I guess how much you'll owe. Whereas financial aid, though, I guess we can talk about what the difference between. They want to make sure that they're contacting the correct department for their questions.
Right. Always keep in mind, even though we're mostly in the same building and departments do work together, we're always separate offices who have separate goals of servicing students. So from the financial aid office, you'll get notifications about missing information, your award, and verifying that you're attending classes. Billing statements will come from the controller's office, and getting registered for class or any problems with your registration or holds would be through the registrar's office. Another important aspect that I wanted to mention, when it comes to actually getting your financial aid, and especially this is very big for Pell Grant, is we need to verify that you're actually attending the class. So in that first week, you're going to get an email notifying you that you have to do an attendance survey. We verify your attendance through a website that we use in a program called Blackboard. So FAU's Blackboard portal, you would log in to this system, and then you would complete the survey to verify that you're in that class. We will not disperse certain funds until we have verified that you're in actual attendance.
Okay, that's good. So we have a couple questions here. Let me see. Can I request a loan in addition to having received a Pell Grant, provided that Pell Grant is awarded? So we kind of went over this, but if you want to go over it again.
So to recap, if you don't have enough financial aid and you didn't get a Pell Grant and you don't have any scholarships, you will always be offered a student loan. Now, if that loan is not enough, your parent can apply through a federal program known as the Parent Plus loan. If you would like, you could also shop around and go to different private lenders or banks and apply for their version of a student loan. That would require you going on with a co-signer. So the difference is the Parent Plus loan is guaranteed by the government, and there's a fixed rate. So your parent can apply and it's a credit check on them. If you would like to go on your own, you can go through a private loan or bank, and you can sign up for that loan with a co-signer.
Okay, so that brings up another good question is, about loans. There's a Parent Plus loan. What other types of loans are there, and what do they mean as far as being repaid?
Okay, so the different types of loans, the ones that you're going to get offered as a student are always considered the direct loan program. Now, there's a limit. For example, a freshman can only have $5,500 in direct loan for 1 year of attendance. Now, to get additional funds, for example, your parent wants to borrow a Parent Plus loan. They may borrow whatever amount you need to be funded for the semester. So let's say you need to cover the cost of your dorm. If they're approved for the Parent Plus, they can have that amount. The same thing when they need to apply, if you choose to apply through a private loan, a lender or bank, whatever amount that you need to cover will be certified. So we do have some students who, for some reason, their parent requested $100,000. Well, we're not going to certify $100,000. We're only going to certify whatever it is you need to cover the cost of attending the university. Now, the difference is that the Parent Plus loan has a fixed rate. It's a 7.69% interest rate. And your parent can defer payment. So it's in their name. That means that they're required to pay back. They can start paying back immediately if they choose to. When you go outside of the government's program and look at a bank or private lender, they do offer some fixed rates, but the majority of them have adjustable rates. So they could offer you a great interest rate to start, and if you have good credit and the background check is okay, some of them might offer a higher interest rate because maybe your credit is not so great. So those are the main differences: is what kind of actual interest rate you're going to get, and if they have any types of incentives. For example, if you get another loan with them, they might give you an incentive to lower your interest rate a point, or once you've completed, if you send them the information to them, they might lower it a point. So there are different incentives that come with the third-party lenders.
Oh, so just to clarify, so that would be somebody that type of a loan would be done outside, let's say, a separate bank down the street from FAU. That's not a part of FAU. That would be
correct.
Something through a bank.
So now we can't sit there and say which bank you should use. The federal government doesn't want us to favor any particular one, but we suggest trying the current banking institution you're with. They all have private loans, or they would refer to you what company does their lending for student programs, and then they would explain to you their details and their repayment. But if you are using the regular student direct loans that you are offered, you're not required to make a payment until 6 months after you graduate or stop attending classes. Now, let's say you only need $1,000 to cover your books and you don't want to have interest building on this $1,000 for the next 4 years. You're eligible to make payments on the money you borrow in a student loan at any time. You can even pay the amount in full at any time. There's no penalty to pay early or to pay in full early. But you're not required to make any payments until 6 months after you have either graduated or stopped attending.
Okay. So let's see, we have another question here. In a world full of scholarships, what is the best advice you can give for those looking to finance education with this type of resource? And any efficient way to find the most convenient scholarship? So I'll kind of say this from an admissions standpoint, that admission scholarships and financial aid are a little bit different. So a lot of times I will speak with a student that says, well, you guys haven't awarded me any scholarships. And what they really mean is they submitted a FAFSA and they think the FAFSA, their scholarship, is what their Pell Grant is. There's different scholarships throughout the university that are available, and you can see the link of scholarships through the financial aid website. But also, as far as scholarships go, look around the admissions website and find out through the different institution that you may be looking at. And at FAU, we have a link for scholarships. Scholarships are very competitive, and they are, depending on whether you are a freshman or a transfer, have different deadlines. And I would be proactive in looking ahead of time for that. And then once you're at the university, even if you're not awarded a scholarship when you come into FAU, at the university, whether it may be in your department or through your major, there may be a scholarship that's available through FAU, but not through the admissions office or through financial aid. So that there are different places around the university that can help you with that are outside of admission scholarships and outside of Pell Grants and financial aid with the loans. So.
When it comes to scholarships, I basically describe it as a part-time job. You really have to put in a lot of effort and search down for what you're eligible for. So sometimes we have students that apply for things that are not even in their eligibility range, so we're automatically going to take them out of consideration. But having the community service hours done, having the letters of recommendation ready, having a personal statement ready is going to help your chances of, once you find those that you are eligible for, to apply in time. I can tell you countless times we receive applications where a student's statement says, "I need money." Well, that immediately gets tossed to the side. From the student says, "I did this program at my school, I participated in these community service events, these are my aspirations, this is what I would like to do with my degree." So really think about that when you're writing a personal statement. Someone is actually going to read that. So if you're being, if you're not taking the time to really involve yourself in the scholarship, your chances of receiving it are less likely. We've also received just copy and paste, where a student has written one statement and sent it for about 10 scholarships. Well, it doesn't apply for each one, so we can't consider this same statement because it didn't apply to, for example, one scholarship could be, how do you plan to help a community, I have a 3.2 GPA. Well, that doesn't tell us how you're going to help the community in this aspect. So really pay attention to what the scholarship is asking you for and fill out the statements accordingly. But websites to look for them, I mean, really, there's a fastweb.com, but it really takes you researching. Another one is to ask the employer of your parents, or your parents ask, at their job, to see if there's any sort of scholarships that they might offer to children of employees, and see if that can be another aspect you can research.
So that brings up a good point. If I am asking about more aid, so if I am, how does FAU respond to a student that may say, we'll say a first time in college student, freshman that's coming in, they say that they received this much money from this institution, FAU is only awarding me this much. Does FAU have an opportunity, or how would a student go about that process of requesting more aid, and in particular, let's say a grant as opposed to a loan? Mm-hmm. Is there an appeals process, or is there something they can go through for that?
Well, when it comes to the fact that one school offered you more aid than we do, unfortunately, we don't really do too much of a comparison. We can only award you so much, and most likely if you didn't get it, it's not going to be available to you. There just really isn't enough resources. There are special circumstances where a student did not qualify for the Pell Grant, but then something happened in their family. There could have been a severe accident, parent loss of employment, maybe you had to change residences, there was an issue with your housing, or your family could be business owners and has lost a business. Under these extreme circumstances, we will take those into account, and you have the ability to file an appeal that's known as a professional judgment. So we don't have too many of these, but when a U student does have a situation and they do complete this appeal form, usually it can work into their benefit, and they may be eligible for that Pell Grant that they initially didn't get.
Okay, thank you. So I see we do have some new people that are in the room, so if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them out and we will answer them best that we can. But I want to talk a little bit about when, and just this kind of a rehash a little bit, not when they receive it, but how do they receive it? Will they be getting a letter in the mail from financial aid? Will they be getting an email? Is it something through their MyFAU? How does that process work?
Yes, when you are processed for your financial aid, you will be sent an email to your student email account. We do not send out the traditional letter that you might get from other schools saying, welcome, and this is your financial aid package. It's with the whole concept of going green and not using up so much paper, and of course mailing costs, keep our costs down, which is beneficial to you. But yes, you will get an email from the Student Financial Aid Office. If you are not eligible for some other reason, you're missing a requirement, you will also get an email. Another fail-safe is for you to log into your MyFAU account and check to see if you have any missing requirements. For some reason, the email could have gone to your spam folder, or you might have accidentally deleted it because you didn't see it. Or sometimes, I know some students give their parents access, and the parent might have not seen it. So definitely always log on to your MyFAU and look around there to see what's going on. You can always contact our office. We have a help desk that you can reach us at any time, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Our business hours do stay the same, except for holidays, but we are always busier around lunchtime. That's the time when people, regular students who have a break from a class or job, will tend to call us. So early in the morning, 8 to 10 is always a good time to call, or 3 to 5, closer to closing hours.
Okay, so the Office of Admissions will sometimes our decision emails will go out to the students' prospect email, to their main email address. When financial aid is emailing them, even if they're a new student, they're going to go to their MyFAU, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that. So that's why it's very important for you guys, once you are accepted, to check out your MyFAU account, learn how to access that, because there is a lot that is done through there. The email, your financial aid, and how you pick your classes and stuff like that. So you really want to really want to familiarize yourself with that, because we do things very similar, but when you're getting into the university and admissions, a lot of our correspondence is through your prospect email, through the email you put on your application. Or the financial aid, it's not going to be done that through financial aid. We're considering you as a student, and it's going to be notified through your MyFAU account. So.
If for some reason we haven't heard back from you, and there's something pending on your account or something that seems really off, we will sometimes use that prospect email, for example, the Yahoo, the Hotmail, whatever it is, because we're saying, the student hasn't responded, with something going on. If it's very serious, for something that has been completed wrong, we might give you a call. But 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be the FAU email address that we will be contacting you with.
So let's talk, you mentioned something about things going wrong. So can we talk a little bit about some of the problems? So you mentioned verification earlier. What are some of the issues that would prevent financial aid in the first part from being awarded? So a student wouldn't be able to see their award, and then also if you could go on about what would cause it from being dispersed.
Yes. We always give students the benefit of the doubt. We don't think that people fill out information incorrectly on purpose. One of the main things that students do wrong is the question on the FAFSA states, do you have any dependents? So a student may think, oh, well, yeah, my little brother, I give him money, I help him out, I drive my sister to school, she's a dependent on me. So the student clicks off they have a dependent. Well, that triggers you for being a student who basically supports himself. So if that's the case, that means that we're not looking at your parent tax information and it's not requested. So that's a big error. We're going to sit there and say, okay, well, you're an individual who is independent, now we need only your tax information. So we're going to send you a contact, say that, hey, what is going on, what is the situation, are you actually taking care of anyone, or did you just complete this incorrectly? Another one is a student might have accidentally clicked that they were at one time homeless because for some situation. Well, if there was a documentation that you actually were homeless, for example, that would provide you answering that question, we would need documentation. So basically, anytime, especially when it comes to questions about your living situation, who lives in the home, or you put down that there's 10 people in your household and your family supports every single one of them and no one's earning any money. Obviously, that's going to trigger a flag and saying, well, how is it that there's 10 people in the household and nobody's supporting them? Or sometimes a student might fill out the information about their taxes and accidentally hold the number key down too long, and their reported income is $999,999,000, for example. So we would say, well, something's going on, I think you completed this incorrectly. So our first step is always going to say, please go back onto the FAFSA, make the changes that you need to, and submit that you save the changes and have it resubmitted to us. Sometimes the student will also forget to put their parent information. They're trying to fill it out very quickly. We obviously need your parental information if you're a dependent student. So a lot of questions I get from students is, what makes me independent? You're independent if you're over the age of 24, if you're a veteran of the military, if you are a ward of the court or an orphan, or if you support your own dependent. For example, you're 22 years old and you have your own child and you work and support that child. That's your dependent. I think there's another question about...
Yes, we have another question here. Do I need to set up an appointment to meet with someone in the financial aid department, or can I just walk in? I can't make my decision on enrolling at FAU until I know if I'll be offered grants or not. I'm somewhat confused on how I will know what the offer will be and be able to make the decision if I'm not notified until I'm scheduled for classes. So I'm assuming that you're referring to that you are a transfer student, and you can, well, answer the first part.
Yes.
Anyway, like that.
Never worry about making an appointment. Always just walk into the office. At any given time, there will be at least one person at the front desk, and especially during peak hours, we will have 4 people posted at the front desk to manage students coming faster. Don't sit there and wait on the phone for half an hour if you can come in. Coming in face-to-face is always going to get you an answer faster. How do we determine whether or not you are eligible for something like a Pell Grant or any other type of state grant? When you complete the FAFSA, a score is computed for you. This is known as the Effective Family Contribution, or the EFC. Once you've completed a FAFSA, you will get a SAR, which is a Student Access Report, back from the federal government. On that SAR, we'll have your EFC number. If you received an EFC of 0, you will automatically qualify for the full Pell Grant. And you will be considered eligible for other types of grants, state and federal, including work study. The cutoff this year for the federal Pell Grant is about 5,000. I don't have the exact number on me, I'm sorry. But basically, if your EFC is higher than 5,000, you will not be receiving a Pell Grant for the year. If your EFC is anywhere between 5,000 and 9,000, you are still considered eligible for other state grants, including the Federal Work Study Program. The Federal Work Study Program, the application is available May 1st. So you would click on our website at fau.edu/FINAID, FinAid, and you can access the application to apply for work study.
Is work study available for all students, freshmen and transfers?
There are only so many slots available of work study, so it is a priority, first come, first served basis. The priority students are upperclassmen. Generally, first-time freshmen will not be awarded work study unless you're a stellar candidate and there is the availability for it.
Okay. So we have a good question here. What is FAU's school code for to put on the FAFSA?
Our school codes are posted on our website, and for FAU Boca campus, it is 001481.
So we have different codes for the different campuses.
Yes.
So if you go on the financial aid website, you'll I think it's on the homepage of the financial aid website.
Yes,
if I remember. Then you can see what the school code is for that.
If you're not familiar, our main campus is the Boca campus. If you're not familiar with FAU, and students who are enrolled into the Honors College, that is specifically at the Jupiter campus. Our Davie campus is generally not for students who are first time in college, because the majority of classes there are for upperclassmen. So if you're taking your entry-level classes, most likely you will be at the Boca campus.
Okay, so we only have about 15 minutes left. So if we have quite a few people here in the room. I want to make sure that we have time for questions. So if you have questions, please submit them. We'll finish up with some information, but we want to make sure that we get those questions since we only have a few minutes left. But to kind of recap and go over some information of stuff that we have to make sure we get the biggest points. As you can so I'll ask you a couple of questions. When can you begin filling out the FAFSA? When will you be notified of your award? And when will that award be dispersed?
Okay, So to recap, the FAFSA is always available January 1st of the current year. So the 2014-2015 FAFSA was available January 1st. We do not want you to fill it out until you and your family have completed your taxes. If you did not work or were not required to file taxes, that's okay. But we do want you to wait until your family has filed their tax information for the current term, which would be the 2013 taxes. When you go to complete the FAFSA, we also suggest that you use the IRS data link. This prevents you from making errors inputting things like your adjusted gross income and allows you to finish the FAFSA process quickly. The other problem that you might have with that is some students are not eligible to use it if your home address was off by one number, or there's a different spelling of the first name for some reason. Sometimes there's a little bit of an error, so you will have to complete the tax information manually. Once we have received your FAFSA and you're admitted into the university, as a first-time in college student, you will be selected to process for financial aid. If you are a transfer student or a returning student, we will need you to register for the upcoming term to be processed. Once you are officially processed, you will get an email sent to your FAU email address alone. We will not send it to your outside email. We always want you to check your student email. You'll get notifications of the award itself, and if you're missing any requirements, you will also get an email sent there. To recap earlier, we do not send out the traditional letter to your home stating that you have financial aid. It's always going to be electronic. Everything is done electronically basically at the university. And I also mentioned before that once you do have financial aid and it is enough to cover your balance, you might sometimes have a little bit left over. We do send that back in a refund. It's always important to sign up for a direct deposit. Direct deposit is you can use any of your local home banks to input that information. You basically put in your account number and your routing information number. So if you do have any refund coming to you, it'll be deposited directly into that account. Sometimes we have students that use their financial aid money to live off campus, and that's okay. You can use your financial aid money to live off campus. The only problem is we don't give you your financial aid before classes have started. So students will walk in saying, hey, it's September 1st, I have to pay my rent. Well, unfortunately, you need to schedule that before the term starts, okay? So your financial aid is going to come after classes have begun. So generally, the third week of classes, if you're expecting a refund, you're looking at the third week, because the day your class is dispersed, the day your aid is dispersed, it takes about 2 business days to hit your bank account of choice by direct deposit.
Okay, and there's actually one other thing that I know that I get a lot of questions about, and maybe kind of briefly go through this, is if a student is selected for the verification process, what do you know what documents would be required for that, and if you can kind of go over that.
We do have very specific details on your verification. Most students are selected for the general verification, which is going to require you filling out a worksheet that is going to be available to you to download. You're going to get a link of what you need to do. Once you download that worksheet, the general information is basically what you put on the FAFSA. We're actually verifying that information. So you're going to put down who lives in the household, what's the current address. The second page is your information for taxes as a student. I get this question a lot, is the student says, I didn't file any taxes. How am I supposed to submit my tax information? On page 2 is where you indicate whether or not you were required to file. So if you didn't have to, you can simply check the option, no tax information for the year. The third page is your parents' tax information. If you're doing the IRS data link, you can select, I'm using the data link on page 3. If not, you are going to agree to submit a paper form of the IRS tax transcript. Page 4 asks if you have any additional benefits, such as SNAP benefits or child support. And page 5 asks you for current balances on you or your family's assets. For example, if your family owns a home, has savings accounts, that information. So those are the 5 pages of the verification process. Included that you must submit is your tax information. The only two ways you can submit your tax information are: one is through the IRS data link, or two, an IRS tax transcript. We will not accept a 1040A, 1040EZ, which is how you file your taxes. We will not accept that. Only the official IRS data transcript.
Okay, that's a good question. Thank you for explaining that. So one question is, what scholarships can be stacked and which ones cannot? I can kind of answer that from the admissions standpoint. Is admission scholarships or scholarships through the Office of Admissions that are awarded at the time of admission, those cannot be stacked. However, if let's say you're awarded a scholarship from the Office of Admissions, but you're also awarded a scholarship from the College of Engineering or from an outside entity, that's fine. The really, and correct me if I'm wrong outside, but if you're awarded a scholarship, the only ones at FAU, in our case, that cannot be stacked are admission scholarships. You can get a scholarship from the College of Business and an admission scholarship. And do you have anything else to add to that? Or?
Yes, there is a limit. We do have some students that have received at least maybe 7 or 8 different scholarships. And what happens is we take into account how much financial aid you can have for the fall and spring term, and this is known as your financial aid budget. So if all of your scholarships exceed the budget, we will reduce any grant that you have been awarded. The first thing we reduce is a loan. So if you are not interested in taking loans or don't need them, we will obviously cancel them for you. At that point, if you still have too much financial aid and have received a grant, we will reduce the grant. For example, if you're not receiving any loan or grant and you do have all those scholarships, most case scenario we won't reduce them because it's very unlikely that we get too many students in this situation. But they could be reduced by maybe $100 or so. But that would be sent back to the foundation that is supplementing your scholarship in the first place, and that could be awarded to you in an additional year, for example. So it's not really that we're taking away what you can have, but we will reduce anything that is considered need-based, which is the federal Pell Grant, FAU grant, Florida State Assistant Grant.
Okay, so a couple questions here. So you don't know how much financial aid you will have until you enroll for classes. Is that correct?
That is correct for a transfer or returning student. If you are a first time in college, we will go ahead and process you because we do understand that you are looking at a couple of different potential schools and would like to know what kind of awards you're getting at FAU. Now, I have mentioned before, University A is offering you this award, and University B is offering you this award. Can FAU match it or meet it? Unfortunately, we do not compare and contrast the awards of other universities. So once you do get your financial aid award, it is pretty much set. We do have something that happens always in the spring term. Once the university fixes their budget and reallocates funds, they will submit additional funds to the financial aid office. At that point, we will award students who are eligible and didn't receive it in the fall. So we do not guarantee it because we say it's a lottery system. So for this year example, we awarded an additional 3,000 students the FAU grant for the fall and spring term. So students were contacting us, why did I receive an additional $2,000? Did I do something wrong? Is this a loan? And we say, no, congratulations, you received additional funds that you were originally eligible for. So that is, as for example, that's 3,000 students out of a potential 28,000. So it's not everybody, but we do like to give it to the students who qualify for the most.
Okay, so last couple questions here. One, how can I join ROTC? That's a separate presentation. I'll be more than happy to go over that with you. If you just email, your best option there would be to email us if you have any admissions questions at admissions@fau.edu. We'll get into contact information in just a second, but we want to answer this one last question here. What is the school code for FAFSA if I am planning to attend several campuses? So since we do have several different campuses, let's say you're going to take a class at the Jupiter campus and the Boca campus, what would be the FAFSA? What would I put on my FAFSA for that?
Definitely only worry about putting the Boca code. Do not worry about the other campuses. That's just very specific, and honestly, it's for the federal processor to use. but you're always going to use the FAU Boca Campus School Code, which is 001481. Another important point that I want to mention is getting familiar with the MyFAU portal. All the information you're going to need is going to be there, whether your award is available, how to accept your award, accepting the terms and conditions of your award, if you're missing any requirements. Also, when you log in, you're going to see your assigned financial aid counselor, and their email address will be right there for you to click on. When you click on it, it'll include your name and your Z number to email your counselor. So whenever you do email the counselor or any other office on the university, make sure to always include your full name and your Z number, and it's important to use your FAU address at all times.
So I just want to click ahead here. Wasn't there a slide for that?
Yeah, there was a slide. Make sure you download this PowerPoint that's available and go over it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of useful information. It might answer some of your questions that you have.
So as far as contact information, he did mention, and I want to just pull up that slide so you guys can see that.
There it is. That one.
Yeah. So, and as far as our contact information, if you have questions about your decision or anything like that, you can email us at admissions@fau.edu, or you can call us at 561-297-3040.
So I said, if you do have that special circumstance, extreme family circumstance, definitely contact your assigned counselor about that. If you just want to get a quick answer and you're available to come into campus, always stop in. It's going to be a fast resolve. If you do work or you're still in school and you can't make it, call between the hours of 8 to 10 a.m. and 3 to 5 p.m. for those are our non-peak times. Basically, after 10 to 2 is our busy time on the phones. It's going to be a little hard for you to get through.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Thank you, everybody that came out. I hope this was very informative. And again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us.
All right, thanks guys.
Have a great day.